Welcome. You're on the Fringe show. I'm your host, Tatiana Zalan, and I go live every Friday at 2 p.m. Dubai time. The Fringe is about our future, science, technology, art, economy, and society. I help you to navigate the rapidly changing world so that you can take advantage of the opportunity and make better decisions in this uncertain future. This is episode number 58, and I'm focusing on a kind of interesting topic, what's missing in Web3. More and more critical thinkers in the space, and I consider to be one of them, are saying, don't believe the hype. And to an extent, this attitude is justified. There's a lot of nonsense in the space due to the greed, FOMO, and the lack of imagination, education, and certainly discernment. Recently, I've kind of stumbled upon a really interesting discussion on Twitter, which is on what's missing in Web3, and this is precisely why I'm making the show. Well, a lot is missing, but I can't focus on every single aspect of that in this short show. So I decided to focus on three missing ingredients at the moment. One is a purpose beyond getting rich, and number two is innovation beyond the cookie cutter projects. And number three, we need a reality check about what's actually going on in this space. So for whom is the show? Well, if you're a creator or startup founder in the Web3 space, it definitely is for you. If you're a brand that wants to advertise or do some interesting things in Web3, that's for you too. The usual disclaimer before we go any further: the views are my own here. They do not represent the official views of organizations and employers I'm associated with. This is not investment advice, although we'll be talking about NFT projects. The Fringe show is for educational purposes only. And for full disclosure, I don't hold any tokens and NFTs from the companies mentioned in this show. Although I am thinking of joining one particular project that I'm going to talk about today, which I think is quite interesting for creators like yourselves, like myself. Before we go any further, just a very quick recap. What is Web3? And there is a really good report that's come out recently by BrainC Inc., and they defined Web3 very well. And it's a very critical report, very without any sort of fluff and hype. What's Web3? What's metaverse? What's blockchain? What it does and what it doesn't do? Well, the internet, as we know it, they say, is flawed. It's centralized, extractive. It's driven by algos, and arguably this is because the focus in the past decades was really on scale. Eyeballs, eyeballs, eyeballs at all costs. Web 2, it's about consumer data being free for platforms, labor and user-generated content, our content, my content, free for platforms, concentrated governance, concentrated ownership, and algorithms that are blindly driving this efficiency and scale. Web3 is supposed to be different. It's all about connected ecosystems, Internet of Things, 5G, peer-to-peer, plus cross-platform sharing of data. But don't believe the hype is a growing theme among some critical thinkers. But there are still robust principles underlying Web3, which is a more equitable version of the web. One of the principles is monetization. You need to directly reward online creators. Number two is governance by the equitable community. And number three is ownership, which should be inclusive and accessible, and shared ownership in a project or enterprise. So starting with the first ingredient that's missing currently in Web3, in many projects, not all of them, of course, but definitely a lot of projects suffer from that, a purpose beyond getting rich. A purpose beyond getting rich, don't know what the plan to accomplish with Web3 that's unique or life-changing, because hyping up cartoon animals isn't. That was a quote from this Twitter thread. And the best way to discover, in my view, whether there is a purpose is to see what kind of value is being created of customers and users. I recently came across an article. It's an academic article, very new one. It's not even printed yet. It's preprint, but I will post a link to this article down here. It's called Providing Value, Customer Value Through NFTs. So again, providing customer value through NFTs. And what value organizations are providing with their NFT initiatives, that's the focus of their research. Creating customer value, as we know it, is at the heart of marketing. It's also creating value, is at the heart of strategy, and so that you can have competitive advantage. From a customer's perspective, value is utility of a product based on perceptions of what's received and what's given. In simple words, it's just a bundle of benefits that consumer willing to pay for. So what they did in this paper was to analyze 46 initiatives using a set of very strict criteria. And if you're wondering which initiatives were included, they were mostly from bigger corporations rather than startup projects. Yes, the familiar ones were all there, Adidas and Guerlain, NBA, Nike, Ubisoft. And by the way, more than 50% of these projects were in the luxury industry. They then classified all these projects and initiatives into various categories according to the value they provide to the customer. And generally, we need to bear in mind that value is not something monolithic. There are many different components and ways to think about value. Firstly, there is extrinsic value and intrinsic value. And many people, many materialistic people, I should say, will derive value from highly desirable possessions, particularly if these are rare. And this is what we say extrinsic value. It's oriented towards others. I want to show off, kind of. Then there are charity donations and community belonging, and these values are intrinsic and they're also other-oriented. If you look at, for examples, maybe Tomorrowland Music Festival is a good example, and it aims to create a sense of belonging in the community and peace through music. What the researchers found after they classified all these initiatives was very insightful, at least to me as a startup founder. So if you are a startup founder as well, you need to pay attention to it. What do you think was the most frequently represented value? Just have a guess. Well, it was speculation, which is very unfortunate, isn't it? Also, what they found is NFTs are valued mostly for extrinsic reasons like status and bragging rights. And that means that NFTs are still seen as a means rather than the end in itself. And can you guess what were the rarest form of utility or value that was offered to the customers? Well, it was intrinsic, related to charity and community belonging. Only 4 initiatives out of these were emphasizing community belonging as a benefit. And in case you want to know who they were, it's Coachella football play cards, Formula One, and Super Bowl. So if you're a startup founder, I think maybe this is something you should consider to differentiate yourself from the other Me Too JPEGs. Focus on community, focus on charity. These are intrinsic values and very valued by the customers. So what is second ingredient that's missing? And that's innovation. As one of the Twitter users said, I'm bored with the cookie cutter projects, 10,000 profile picture projects. Of course, innovation is happening, and that's a good thing. So we are kind of turning here on a positive note. Recently, in one of my last shows, I talked about the read-to-earn book token. This is the first earn-to-read model, which incentivizes readings and wants to transform the license-based industry to a digital ownership model. So they're doing something interesting there. Another one, which I also talked about in one of my very early shows, is Friends with Benefits. It's as they brand themselves, they're saying they're a headless media community lifestyle brand. It's a big network, not actually very big, but still significant, about 3,000 users. And members have different levels of access and governing power depending on the tokens they've earned or bought. Their perks range from newsletter subscription to Discord channel access to IRL tickets. So it's a fully user-led and has become everything from a user discovery platform to a startup incubator to a meeting place for crypto investors. So it's a great example of a community-first project that we talk about a lot in the Web3 space, but kind of don't implement it because, as we've just seen, most of the projects really driven by speculation, and that's it. I decided to talk today about one innovative project that I came across recently. It's called M-Content. Actually visited them here. They're based in Dubai. It was founded in July 2021. They're introducing a new model as well, the world's first tokenized watch-to-earn content ecosystem, where content creators as well as the viewers of content are rewarded with their native digital currency. It's called M-Content. You can do various actions on the platform, and so you get rewarded. They want to drive this content revolution by converting viewers into actual owners of their digital content. And it's a very large and significant opportunity that they're addressing, significant problem as well. And the streaming economy in the whole world is anticipated to be somewhere in excess of $210 billion by 2026. 95% of professional YouTubers don't get to the minimum monetization mark, which means that they don't get the minimum subscribers and watch hours for them to start earning. They're also giving up, if they do get to monetization, they give away a huge proportion of their earnings, if they make any, that's of course. The idea behind the platform is to enable crowdfunding of film and TV productions using cryptocurrency, NFTs, and the M-Content Cineverse, as they call it. They've already funded sort of a dozen of projects, film projects from various parts of the world. I think that the platform is going to be sustainable because they received significant funding from a local UAE conglomerate, and they want to build, or rather fund, 100 global projects by the end of this year, 2022. So we will wish them good luck. There are many features, many functionalities of on the platform. M-Content is one, M-Browse and another one, M-Originals, and there are many, many others. At the moment, with conventional platforms, viewers and users are really the goal behind the content because we are after eyeballs, and companies sell the profile of the users and users pay for subscription, but they're not getting anything in return. Without those subscribers and advertisers, the platforms wouldn't survive. Their M-Content platform is available in multiple places. You can find it on the web. You can also find it on Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Users are able to connect their digital wallets to the platform and receive various kind of rewards in the form of content tokens. That's a native token. It's traded on various exchanges, including some big ones. So just for watching, commenting on the content, you will get paid. No other platform reviews or gives viewers such rewards on an ongoing basis. It's not some kind of a promotion. It's not a special promotion that expires. It's a feature of the platform. Another thing that they've done quite interesting is that they fund thousands of content creators and allow them to pursue their dream projects. It's through the functionality which they call M-Seed. And then there is the M-Browse section of the app, which is made for the talented content creators. You can be working on content like vlogs, interviews, cooking shows, funny content, gaming videos, educational videos, or any kind of simple content to showcase your talent. You can now download your original content that you may have been placing on other platforms like YouTube, maybe the live stream to Facebook. You can pick it up and start earning on the M-Content platform from your very first view and very first subscriber. You don't need to wait until you get to this monetization number like YouTube does. And then there is an interesting part which they called M Originals, and that's about producing quality content. This is something that they produce. So as a content creator, you can come as a third-party provider, but there is also a certain amount of content that they're producing themselves. And under M Originals, they're particularly focusing on blockchain mass adoption. So most of their, all of their 12 projects that have been funded so far are focused on that particular topic. For example, there's an interesting documentary called El Salvador versus the World Bank. I'm sure those of you who are in Web3 will know what this is all about. Then the Ripple versus the sex saga. That's another one which is first of its kind, animated with award-winning animators, and that's an animated series on crypto. Alex got wrecked, so watch out for that one. And one of the most awaited M Original production is this story dedicated to Binance, the unexpected rise of CZ, and Binance. So that's M content. If you're a creator, probably you could consider and bringing your other content to their platform as well. Or just if you're starting out, just start out with something which is quite innovative, which is Web3. They're not quite a DAO yet, although they do make decisions. They consult creators if they need to. And the final ingredient that's missing and I want to talk about is, reality check. Let me give you a couple of numbers here, what I mean here. And I'm talking about Decentraland. I don't want to pick on Decentraland. I want them to succeed. I want all Web3 projects and metaverse projects to succeed. But we also need to be very realistic on what's missing and how we get there. Because if we are realistic, then we can, if we understand the problem, we can actually fix it. Decentraland Oman is a virtual world platform which is based on Ethereum and enables users to create, experience, and monetize content and applications. They had an initial coin offering in 2017 and raised quite a significant amount of money, almost $24 million. The project prides itself on being owned by its users, and that's achieved through a decentralized autonomous organization, or DAO, and that allows users to have a voice and vote on various decisions on the platform's future direction as well. Well, guess how many active users they've got? According to an article from CryptoSlate, they just have 30 daily active users, and that's despite their $1 billion market capitalization, according to DeepRadar data. Some other sources said that, DeepRadar data is not very accurate, so it's under scrutiny, it's too low, and there was an alternative data source that showed a discrepancy in the data. But the amount of DAO's daily average users per the alternative data source was still in the hundreds. And according to CryptoSlate data, Mana's 24-hour volume came at 121 million, and the current market capitalization is well over 1 billion, and the token itself is down 9% year to date and 88% down from its all-time high, which it was in November 2021 at 5.85. Decentraland went into some damage control, and their creative director, Sam Hamilton, told CoinDesk that DeepRadar doesn't actually doesn't track all users, only people who are interacting with the smart contracts. And actually, according to him, the platform averages around 8,000 users on an average day. Well, just to give you a sense of comparison, Second Life has some 40K users online today. And Second Life is at least 2 decades old, and it's considered to be almost a dead game. And still, they've got 40K users. And the Sandbox, that's another decentralized metaverse, has about 20K users, which is half of what Sandbox does. And of course, even 8,000 users on a given day is dismal for something that's supposed to be the future of online communities. It's embarrassing that only a few dozens of these blockchain transactions are happening on a daily basis. In short, it's a massive and perfect example of kind of massive disparity that we still have in this Web3 space between market value and actual users. And it could also indicate that there is a slowdown in appetite for virtual estate and other blockchain related assets. It can be NFTs or blockchain, NFTs and crypto, generally speaking. Yes, sure, it can be a reflection of a general trend as well. There is someone that I'm following on Twitter and on LinkedIn. It's Theo Priestley. He's a thought leader in the metaverse and Web3 space. And he explained very well what went wrong with Decentraland on Man, their token. Their focus and business model were built around crypto. It wasn't built around user community. So the price of admission was too high to begin with. Now everybody's darling, according to him, is Roblox. And that's because Roblox spent years cultivating the community and the user base, giving them the flexibility and creative tools to build whatever they wanted. And so any brand that's serious about having exposure would probably prefer Roblox to something like Decentraland. And the general conclusion here is that you need to know your customer before you spend a single dollar or token to rush and build anything. It's not really that hard. I also saw a short video that was posted by a user on Meta, on Horizon, on the usage of their metaverse. You can say straight away that it's slow, it's clunky, the user experience is very poor, the user is getting stuck very quickly just upon entering, then deciding that their only hope is to jump to another world. And that says it all. Horizon at the moment looks like a very expensive MVP, and that's with $10 billion investment. This is how much they poured into Meta. So if anything, it's probably a good warning to all startup founders if they want to go out and develop something in the metaverse. Now, a big company with all the resources in the world is building a metaverse and it's got nothing to show for it. And just to sort of sum it up, let me quote Sasha Fleshman, who is portfolio manager at digital asset investment firm Arca. This is what he told CoinDesk. Anyone telling you that there's a metaverse today that has worked is lying through their teeth. I think that's a pretty powerful quote. And here are some parting thoughts from me. Startup founders and brand managers and established corporations should be thinking harder about the fundamentals of Web3. What value does your project or initiative provide for the customer? Is this value speculation only? If it is, then your project is unlikely to be sustainable. And it's very, very fluctuating as well, depending on the general sentiment in the market. And another point is, well, how innovative is your project? Does it directly reward the creators? What about governance? Is ownership inclusive and accessible? And finally, we really need a reality check. Metaverse. Well, it looks very lonely in the metaverse at the moment. If you're an executive, a startup founder, an investor, before you pour your money, your energy into the metaverse, how about understanding your customer first? It's like marketing 101. Well, this is all for today. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week at 2 p.m. Dubai time, next Friday. Thank you for joining again. And now a little bit of music.